It's 27 days to election 2020. Hello and welcome to the Midday News on your election headquarters.
We'll be burying 5 at the go. We're going to bury more. We only want to elect the COVID is real and therefore
COVID still exists. Observe the safety protocols. This bulletin is coming to you live from Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. Our digital address GA0993341 is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including ATL FM, Cape Coast, Radio Max, Takrade, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Coming up, COVID-19 expert predicts Accra could run out of hospital beds to treat persons who contract the virus by December if the spread is not halted.
More political activities coming up. If we keep going on this trajectory, I am extremely worried that post-election, we will have a lot of problems like the US people are having.
Meanwhile, political science lecturer maintains politicians must also take responsibility for spike in COVID cases, saying they look on as their supporters abandon protocols.
Health walk, the walk in the streets, holding hand to hand, walk close to each other, in this regard for COVID rules.
President Akufo-Addo woos assembly members to his side after John Mahama's promise to pay them monthly allowances. Meanwhile, Mr. Mahama returns to the Ashanti region. We'll bring you updates as both men intensify their campaigns, and former General Secretary of the NPP, Kwabena Japan, asked party members running as independent candidates to reconsider their decision, as he calls on them, to surrender their personal interest in that of the parties.
The country party for individual feeling say media me peno
We'll also hear his thoughts on former President Mahama's infrastructure achievement as he rejoins the NPP campaign. And in sports,
Ghana's AFCON 2021 qualifier against Sudan to be played behind closed doors as part of COVID-19 preventive measures.
Also in this package, looming disaster on a section of the Accra-Tema motorway as portion of the road close to the Ashaman underpass is being eroded. We'll hear from motorists who fear lives will be lost if the road caves in.
It's very dangerous, and I think the authorities have to work on it, and then it should be immediate.
The road is caving in. Don't want any disaster to happen before they come with excavators to save lives.
Details in a moment. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. Thanks for your company. The details now. Ghana is likely to run out of hospital beds to treat COVID-19 patients by early December if the current second wave of the pandemic is not checked. According to a member of the COVID-19 response team at Nyaho Medical Center, Dr. Daniel Osafo-Darko, the rate of increase in severe and critical cases is higher this time round than it was earlier in the year. Speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV, Dr. Darko said the spread of the disease is largely because of the increase in public gatherings and political activities. He had this word of caution for the public.
I think that for now it looks stable because we still have some space here and there. But if we continue this trajectory of not limiting activities, of not working from home, of not wearing the mask, of not washing our hands and all the wrong things that we are talking about, then obviously come December 7th, 10th, 11th, 12th, will probably be at a very high number that would not be very helpful for all of us. If the whole Accra has less than 10,000 beds for a population of 5 million, then really you can never have enough beds. My fear is that because a lot more activities are coming up, we are Ghanaians, we celebrate a lot of things towards this time of the year. So there's a lot more celebrations coming up. There's a lot more political activities coming up. And so if we keep going on this trajectory, I am extremely worried that, yes, post-election, we will have a lot of problems like the US people are having.
Dr. Daniel Osafo-Darko is a member of the COVID-19 response team at the Nyaho Medical Center. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boadi, insists the situation is under control as they've been monitoring cases over 2 weeks now.
We didn't drop anything. We continue doing exactly what we're doing. But like we keep saying, this is a two-way affair. It's what the systems put in, is how the people respond. And I think adherence to the protocols, etc., got down. It's been picked up early, and we started interventions more than 2 weeks ago when we started seeing the initial spread, as we have always done. And we've identified some of the challenges. We're improving not just contact tracing, but also to streamline testing so that people who get tested are linked to the system, and then the system can respond appropriately. So that was one of the key challenges. So the system has not started.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boate there. Meanwhile, the Ghana Medical Association has begun a nationwide COVID-19 sensitization program to stem down the rise in our figures. Greater Accra Region Secretary of the GMA, Dr. Winfred Barr, who spoke on PM Express on the Joy News channel on Monday, admitted health workers, including the general public, are guilty of flouting the protocols which have inevitably accounted for cases being reported at health facilities. We'll hear from him shortly. But first, here's a report by my colleague Manuel Cranting, who visited the Kaneshi market and observed that apart from the lack of adherence to the mask wearing, hand wash stations established in the markets have all disappeared.
A visit to the Kaneshi market in Accra just a day after the president's 19th address revealed close to no regard at all for COVID-19 protocols. There was hardly anyone who wore a mask, and for the few who did, there was more of a chin guard. Many of them explained they are convinced the virus has disappeared.
Now the virus is gone, so we have stopped wearing the mask. We're told the virus is in the market, but I want to know if anyone has been hospitalized from here. No one from this market has contracted the virus.
For others, government silence on advocacy meant the virus had been defeated. They also wondered why the Veronica buckets had disappeared from the market.
We were told the numbers were down so that the elections could take off. All the Veronica buckets have been taken away from here. That should be a sign that the virus is gone. We used to hear of cases rising. Now we don't.
Manuel Cranting with that report. We can now hear from the Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Winfred Barr, who says their nationwide COVID-19 sensitization drive is to whip up interest in adherence to safety protocols.
We are in the hospital. Sometimes people, when it started, the measures were very strict. Now, people come to my hospital in Kolebu and we used to check them and all of that. All those have relaxed. Everybody, it's not just the patients, it's not just everybody, even the health workers. We think that everybody has relaxed. We are all at fault. But the good thing is that we started a nationwide campaign. So all the regions are doing it. And of course, because most of the cases are in Greater Accra, we have started vigorous. So we've started educational campaigns. We are in partnership with the NCCE. And so we've booked times with the churches, mosques, second cycles, and then some of the markets. We have started already. You are going to see a lot of our works in the media, on social media and print media and the rest. What we want to do is to drive home the fact that COVID is still there. A lot of people, especially when you go outside Accra, people just don't wear their masks. They don't observe the social distancing. And don't forget, we are in the campaign season, so people are aggregating, and a lot is happening.
Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Winfred Barr there. Well, there have been significant orders around the world for a new COVID-19 vaccine said to be 90% effective, and it prevents people from getting the virus within 28 days of having the shot. The vaccine being developed by Pfizer and BioNTech is in phase 3 of trial and involved more than 43,000 participants from 6 countries. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, is here with some details on this. Fred, so there are several vaccine candidates, and we hear that all the time in the news and around the world, but how does this particular one stand out?
Well, Bernice, about 12 vaccine candidates currently under development, and most have gone through trials. There's China, Russia, the USA, UK, and other places. The interesting thing about this vaccine is that the developers, Pfizer, which is an American company, they partnered BioNTech, which is a German company, to develop this, and 43,000 participants. This is very significant, Bernice, and so far the vaccine has been able to prevent 90% of all of these persons from catching the virus after being administered. There are two things in the trial process, though: the effectiveness of the drug, and more importantly, the safety of this drug. You may have heard already that yesterday Brazil's health regulator said it had suspended clinical trials for an experimental COVID-19 vaccine after an adverse incident. It turns out one of the participants died. So this new vaccine by Pfizer and BioNTech has proven to be effective and also safe. Indeed, the US FDA had said earlier that a vaccine which showed about 50% effectiveness will get the approval. So 90% is huge, Bernice.
But we know in vaccine trials that this is still a long way off coming onto the market. What next now?
Well, the developers are now awaiting regulatory approvals from the US authorities, and then distribution starts. Well, many are believing that this will be ready by close of this year, and already the UK has placed orders for 40 million of these.
That's Fred Smith, head of our health desk. Let's stay a while on COVID-19.
There will obviously be an intensification of political party activities in all parts of the country with its accompanying human contact. Nevertheless, I encourage political party leaders and supporters, at the very least, to wear the mask at all times at these gatherings.
That's President Akufo-Addo on Sunday admonishing political party leaders to ensure their supporters observe the COVID protocols as they engage in political activities. Well, on Monday, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah dismissed claims that politicians and political activities such as health walks are contributing to the increase in our cases. But political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, believes such activities are to blame for the surge.
You realize that after the passage of the laws regulating the conduct of people with regard to COVID, everything started going on fine until the campaign started. That we are seeing gradually mass rallies, not that much, but they are coming up. And then in recent time, one of the strategies that parties have adopted is health walk. The walk in the streets, holding hand to hand, walk close to each other in disregard for COVID rules. And this has been a worrying situation for you and I as far as the disease control is concerned. So all in all, I must say that yes, we started on a good note, but as the jostling went on, you realize that parties have abandoned the rules that they've set regarding these disease.
That's political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. This is your election headquarters, and President Akufo-Addo is engaging elected assembly members from the Greater Accra region and national level to explore ways to meet some of their needs. Already, the members are divided on the viability of a proposal from the NDC's presidential candidate, John Mahama, to pay them monthly salaries if elected in the December polls. The president, who is spending the week in Accra ahead of formal campaign for his re-election this weekend, will also engage the National Peace Council. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe is at the Jubilee House and joins us with an update. Elton, so what has the president been telling the assembly members?
So, Bernice, we'll have to wait a little longer before we'll get the details of this meeting between the president and the assembly members. So, this is part of a long list of activities the president is engaging in today. So at 2 o'clock, he has a meeting with the Greater Accra Association of Assembly Members and then Ghana Association of Assembly Members. So these are two different groups, but basically the same issues happening. Now, what we've gleaned from what is likely to be the main focus of attention this afternoon has to do more with current issues regarding attempt or announcement by the former President John Mahama to pay them salaries if elected in the next general elections. He told a meeting some time back that the remuneration would come as part of his plan to revamp the birth and death data collection along with the system for registration to vote. Now, we know that the Greater Accra Association of Assembly Members have also expressed doubts about the ability of the National Democratic Congress to fulfill this promise to institute salaries for Assembly members should he return to power. For them, same promise was made in the 2012 manifesto of the NDC, but never was realized during the presidency of the former president, and for that reason, they doubt his commitment to fulfill this particular issue. Now, this meeting, we are told, will look at some of these issues and the way forward as to how the government, if elected in the next administration, will help address some of the pressing needs of the Assembly members. So we are all keeping an eye of this meeting, which is coming up, together with the National Peace Council and other engagement that the President is expected to hold this afternoon.
Elton, the President was expected to start a tour in the northern region today. Do we know why that has been suspended?
Well, we don't have any information yet. What we do know is that hopefully this weekend there may be former outdoor for the President where he will be engaging with the electorates to come out for vote for his second term bid. This week I'm told that we will spend more time in Accra as our speech is actually engaging with 30 envoys who've ended their duty tour in Ghana and about to leave the shores of the country, plus other events that have lined up for this week. So next week we are hoping that we'll be back on the streets across the country to come back for votes for the elections.
Presidential correspondent Elton Broby there. Meanwhile, former President John Mahama has begun his campaign tour of the Ashanti region. The mood at the Kumasi airport as the NDC's presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama arrived in the Ashanti region to begin a 6-day tour. Hundreds of supporters who thronged the airport hours before his arrival were singing and dancing. Some of them have been speaking to Joy News.
Our main expectation in the 2020 election is a win for JM. And we are expecting a very huge vote from Ashanti region, because the MPP coming to power didn't do anything for Ashanti region. Not even a single project was commissioned.
We are hosting JM in Ashanti region today, so we are all in the airport waiting for him. Jumaura, he is coming and do better job for Ashanti people today. So we are everybody knows that this election NDC is winning.
You heard that some supporters of the NDC speaking ahead of the arrival of the NDC's presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, to the region. Maxwell Agbagba was at the airport. Maxwell, we can tell a lot of excitement there from the sounds you sent in. We understand that the former president will be engaging chiefs, some communities and key stakeholders. Tell us more on what he'll be doing in the region. Hello, Maxwell, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, Bernice. Okay, so there was what looked like a mini jamboree outside the airport as the supporters saw the Africa World Airlines flight the NDC presidential candidate was arriving in. The jubilation intensified. Security personnel had a really difficult time controlling the crowd. Now on the streets to his first destination, hundreds of people have lined up on the shoulders of the road, waving, making the sign of change, and also showing their two fingers in the air to indicate the position of the NDC candidate on the ballot paper. That is what is happening as he moves to his first port of call at Besiwa, where he will be interacting with some chiefs and residents. Bernice.
Do we know what he's expected to tell them? We know that in every region he's been quite particular about the message he delivers to the people. What do we know about what he's going to tell the chiefs and people?
We are learning he will be doing a lot of community engagements, meeting key stakeholders in various industries. He will also be meeting religious leaders and more. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we are told he is expected to pay a courtesy call on the Asantehene at the Mensha Palace. He will end the tour on Saturday with a Deba of some Zongo chiefs at the Ifitiasi Asokori, Bernice.
Maxwell Agbagba there with details of the presidential candidate of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama's tour of the Ashanti region. Still On election-related news, former General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, the NPP, Kwabena Ejapong, is urging disgruntled members to look up to him and rescind their decision to contest the upcoming elections as independent candidates. Mr. Ejapong was suspended by the party in 2015 after leadership accused him of violating their constitution. But he has recently joined the NPP's campaign. The party is facing challenges with disgruntled members of the party filing to run as independent parliamentary candidates, especially in its Ashanti region stronghold. Mr. Kwabena Ejapong, however, indicated it was time the party sits down to reconsider certain decisions that push people to go independent. He spoke on Ekosi saying our sister station, Asampa FM.
2008. And yeah, Timmy Wakame say by a party more independent wage na hani idea. We lost by the skin of our teeth. Well, first round corner candidate Nana Danko Akufo-Addo lead.
In 2008, we lost because of such internal bickering. Even during the first round, our candidate was leading Professor Mills, but we lost because of such internal wrangling.
The country party for sa individual feeling say Midday dear me peno any pain that
I am begging party members, let us eschew all such personal feeling and subsume ourselves to the interest of the party for the greater good.
You subsume any individual issues, pain, or whatever you've been through, and support the supreme interest of the party. It's very important.
Mr. Ejapong, who is an engineer by profession, also pointed out that mega projects undertaken by the NDC were all inflated. He insists the NPP has superior infrastructure projects.
Where is the mega infrastructure from the other side? Which one is the mega?
Oh, they name cycle interchange.
That is a complete riff-off. Let me tell you something. I'll give you 3 examples. Maybe just 3. We are rebuilding the Tema General Hospital. That's a big. Have you seen the new design? Big Kokate Sodna. Big Tema General Hospital. The Central Medical Stores next year.
Yes.
It's being rebuilt. Doma is in the new.
Yes. The Central Medical.
Yes. And Doma Accident Center and Kwanza District Hospital, all using a facility of 160 million euros. 4 major 160 million. Ridge, which is nowhere near the new Tema Central Regional Hospital, General Hospital. Is what, $301 million? Come on, that's just 1. 2.
But you are a technical.
That's what I'm speaking.
Would you make that argument? Because if you can say you should watch what went into the.
But of course, that's why I'm speaking as an engineer. I know what bills of quantities are. I know what buildings are, and I know per unit rates of asphalt. I mean, it's like Kumasi Airport.
You heard the former General Secretary of the NPP, Kwabena Ejapong, and he was speaking on Ekosi saying on our sister station, Asempa FM. And security has been beefed up at the residence of National Democratic Congress as the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Tema Central, Abi Bright, after an attack on her residence Sunday dawn. John News is learning the police has been patrolling her residence after 2 vehicles on her compound were torched. The candidate is said to be puzzled about the incident, but this has not hindered her campaign. Constituency Secretary Henry Davidson Ayer says a report has been lodged at the police station.
There was a thunderstorm rain. It rained that night, and what we gathered was that at a point in time, over a period in the night, they woke up and the Hutu cars were in flames, and that is what actually happened. But it started from the back of the car. That is what I'm told. And it looks as if there's accident. It looks like somebody and tried to do something. And so that is how the original police has been informed. The fire service has been informed. They have been there, quenched the fire. I'm told that they are here to bring their report for us to conclude what actually took place before the burning of the car.
That's the Tema Central Constituency Secretary of the NDC, Henry Davidson Ayer. You're listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, looming disaster on a section of the Accra-Tema motorway as a portion of the road close to the Ashaman underpass is being eroded. We'll hear from motorists who fear lives will be lost if the road caves in.
It's very dangerous, and I think the authorities have to work on it, and then it should be immediate.
The road is caving in. Don't want any disaster to happen before they come with excavators to save lives.
Life as we know it has changed. Everything's rearranged and disrupted. But one thing remains constant. Excellence must be celebrated, even in a disruptive era. So, to usher in the 31st Marketing Performance Awards, the CIMG will be celebrating a marketing week from the 9th to the 13th of November. Then on Saturday, the 14th of November at 7 p.m., all roads lead to the Labadi Beach Hotel for the CIMG Marketing Performance Awards to honor companies and individuals who have excelled within the marketing arena in 2019. Theme: Marketing in a Disruptive Era. The awards event will be streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. For corporate table reservations, call 0244-585-208 or 0208-177-752. All the COVID-19 protocols will be strictly observed. CIMG. Marketing means business. CIMG. Working for Ghana.
Ghanaians, the stakes are high for our country this December. Don't stay home.
Remember, this election is about your future. Which of the candidates will you trust with managing our economy better? Which leader can give us free SHS and enhance the education of our children? Who can you trust to protect us during dark periods such as COVID-19? Who has the competence to protect our economy, build roads and dams?
Do you remember the dark periods of Doomsaw, Create, Loot and Share Brigade?
This December, remember, we cannot afford the risk. Let's vote for Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP to protect our progress.
For staying on the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. It's time for sports, and Hans Mensah Ando has all the details.
The Ghana Football Association says there will be no fans at the Cape Coast Stadium when the Black Stars take on their Sudanese counterpart in an AFCON 2021 qualifier on Thursday. The move, according to the GFA, is in line with the Confederation of African Football directive aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19. Here are excerpts of the GFA statement.
The Ghana Football Association says this is part of a number of measures taken by the Confederation of African Football to ensure that games are played in the safest possible way. According to CAF, games have to be played under strict conditions to ensure that players, referees and officials are protected from the coronavirus pandemic. Players, technical team members, essential service providers and ball boys will undergo a mandatory COVID-19 test before the match. The GFA statement concludes that there will be no post-match press conference, missed zone and flash photo opportunities, as only photographers of the two teams will be granted access.
And that was your sports. Now, some motorists who use the Accra-Tema motorway are calling on authorities to fix a portion of that stretch which is gradually eroding. They fear people will die if the affected section of the road caves in. Maxwell Agbagba has more in our Arrive Alive story for today.
The slab that is supporting the bridge is off. The erosion is chopping into the middle of the road, and no one is paying attention to it.
Voice of a concerned motorist in a video sent to Joy News talking about the danger on the eastbound section of the Accra-Tema motorway.
Shouldn't wait for a disaster to happen before we come to save lives. The road is caving in. Don't want any disaster to happen before they come with excavators to save lives.
It is a big pit caused by erosion around a storm drain very close to the Ashaiman underpass. Motorists who use the road tell me what started as a small hole is gradually expanding into the main road. They fear that portion of the motorway may cave in if it is not fixed. Some of them also fear vehicles may plunge into the storm drain as the railings on that portion of the road have been damaged.
My name is Wisdom.
This man uses the motorway frequently. He wants authorities to fix the problem.
So this thing immediately they need to come and fix this thing out before it get out of hand, because the next rain that will fall, it will affect again. That one is serious.
Dennis Abani uses the Accra Tema motorway every day to deliver honey to his clients.
When I get here, I find it difficult to use the outer lane. So what I do is I'll wait and check to see if there's no car coming. Then I use the inner lane, which is not even safe for me as a rider. I have to always use the outer lane because my speed is not that of car. You see, so it's very dangerous. And then the pedestrians too, they find it difficult to use the outer lane, which is almost caving in. And I think the authorities have to work on it, and then it should be immediate, or else we'll have a situation at our hand that we'll not be able to solve.
The Ghana Highway Authority says it will comment after an assessment of the situation.
Maxwell Agbagba with our Arrival Live report today. Arrival Live is brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority with support from Toyota Ghana Logistics Movers and the Drone News Drive Safe campaign. Now to social media. Maps as a reaction on the story about political activities and the lack of adherence to safety protocols.
Yes, Bernice Abu-Baidoo on Facebook says, we blame the politicians forgetting they never forced anyone to those rallies. We should blame ourselves for going to those rallies without our masks, knowing the virus is real. William Minta says, a country where no one takes responsibility for its actions and attributes failure to someone, one of these choices describes us self-indisciplined or indisciplined. And the last one is from Karimoni, who says, these are leaders, they're not serious. People go out in their numbers without wearing nose masks, supporting you, and you're here saying the increase in the numbers is not due to political rallies. So what's the cause? That's what he's asking.
Maps to social media. Then our top story. COVID-19 expert predicts Accra could run out of hospital beds to treat persons who contract the virus by December if the spread is not halted. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. I really appreciate your company. Thanks for choosing us, your most credible, fearless and independent home of journalism. And don't leave us yet. At 1, we've got business news for you. And just after this, Dr. Mensa Otabil is still teaching on choices.
When you want it, just move.